Hi, my name is Jalon, and I keep up with the news for you.
And my name is Joey, and I keep up with the policy for you.
And together we help you vote smarter, not harder.
Welcome to Get Pod Local. Official start of our new season. The first episode was an election guide episode to help you navigate through the 17 constitutional amendments or propositions.
17.
Jalon, what is the rest of the season about?
Well, as you remember, Joey, last year, a month after that insane election season and the insane election results, we sat down with some of our favorite people to talk about what the hell just happened and what is going to happen next and what their plans were for Trump 2.0.
Oh, that's right. We knew things were going to be bad, so we tried to get ahead of that.
Yeah, we thought we were. So this season is us seeing what plans were back in December 2024 and how and if that has changed now that we're 10 months in.
It's only been 10 months, Jalon.
Girl, I know. Now, this was not our original plan we had for this season, but like I always say, the universe will always provide. Now, for this next one, I know not everyone's going to get this reference, but basically this season is like Love Connection, but for politics.
What a reference, Jalon.
I know. We'll be back at 2 at 2.
We'll hear everything that happened on that date. We'll do it in 2 and 2. Be right back out.
No, that does not work for this.
I will make it work. Just give me a second.
Okay. Back to the episode. So we're starting off with a friend of the pod, the new chairman of the Texas Democratic Party.
Fun fact, I'm not sure how we keep being the place for folks to drop their big news, but we love it. In our conversation in December, Kendall soft announced that he was going to run to become the chairman.
Which we were very excited to hear.
Yes, and we're even more excited that he did win. He's making some big changes already, and we can't wait to see what else he does.
So how do you want to do this?
Okay, I'm thinking that we show folks a bit of then, and then we go right into now.
Oh, okay. So here's us talking with Kendall Scudder, chairman of the Democratic Party in December of 2024. And then we'll go right into Wayne's World style.
Yes. Back at 2 at 2. I did it.
Okay, you were right. It does work now. It does.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, Kendall.
We're recording now.
Yeah, we're recording now. Yeah. So everything you've said.
No. Just kidding. That's not true.
Thank you for coming back.
Post-election. Here.
This conversation is, like we said before, it's like, what now? We just went through this exhausting election, unprecedented. We had a couple months to get this together. We got close. We made some moves. What now?
Well, I think it's time to stop using the word unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, we act like, all these things that are happening are just kind of outside of these norms and this isn't normal, it's unprecedented. But the reality is, I think we're learning that the American public doesn't like normal, because normal hasn't worked for people that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And so when we're sitting around going like, oh, this isn't normal, this is unprecedented, they're like, good,
because normal is broken.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this a little bit earlier, in Texas, the numbers that I've seen, and I think, different people see different numbers, about 200,000 Republicans that voted in 2020 didn't vote in 2024.
Oh, at all?
200,000, yeah. And 1.1 million Democrats that voted in 2020 didn't vote in 2024. So in looking for kind of what the issue is, that's the gap.
Yeah.
It was Democrats just stay home.
Yeah.
And we can either shame them, or we can take responsibility for our actions.
Can we do both?
And say, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
But, clearly something we didn't resonate, right?
Yeah.
The debate should be about what that was. I tend to think that when you run around with the Cheneys and you play Republican light, if I have a hard time telling the difference between a Democrat and a Republican, I think a regular voter would too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
100%. And, now that we're post-election, I felt very uneased by seeing the Cheneys and whatnots. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to let this happen for this election because they're thinking this is what we need to do. But going forward, I don't want to ever align with a Cheney ever again. You know what I mean?
It's a weird feeling when I see them on stage, because I just remember the years where the Cheney was like
a bad word. I mean, that's a curse word.
Oh my gosh! So it was.
You
certainly
get shot in the face just being next to one.
Right. Well,
it highlights the recalibration of American politics, though. Okay, so globally, let's talk about it from a global perspective. Every industrialized country this year, in 2024, didn't matter who was in charge, whether they were left wing or right wing. Every government in charge lost. So was it some right wing surge, or is it an anti-establishment surge? And it's almost kind of highlighted in this class war situation of people that have just seen this system and creatures of the system overlooking them. I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial, but pop quiz. Name me 3 Democrats on a federal level that you would trust to write a bill regulating banks.
Regulating banks?
And you're like, I trust them blindly. That's who I would trust.
Liz.
I was going to say Liz
Okay, so
Warren.
Liz Warren.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you're having to think this hard
No, you're
on it,
right.
You're
Yeah.
right.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
That our roots as a party is populism helping poor people, right?
For sure.
That's
That is
what
our
we're founded on.
roots.
And we've strayed from that because we had to.
Yeah.
We had to preserve an institution that Trump was trying to burn to the ground.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be where we feel comfortable in this establishment, protecting institutions space. Like, who cares about an institution if it's not helping people?
Yeah.
Right. And we've got to get back to this mindset of, when working people need someone to have their back, our brand is synonymous with economic justice. And if we aren't there, we're not doing our job, in my opinion. And we haven't been there. And that's what I think. This is the first time in my lifetime that we've lost, people making less than $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's weird. That used to be like the guaranteed base for
Dembo,
us.
yeah.
And that should tell us something. Everybody focuses a lot on like what's happening with Latinos. People try to draw these ethnic lines a lot, but we're getting to a phase where it might be more of a class line.
It is a class thing now.
I think it's always been a class
Yeah.
situation. I think leaning into race groups has been like the easy way to kind of go towards the class situation. I was talking to the ladies, post-election, and it's like, we do need to burn the Democratic Party to the ground because the foundation is a party of white supremacy. And it wasn't like, oh, we've changed our ethos. There's a huge group of people who just got the full rights to elect people. Let's grab them, black people, and let's bring them into our tent. But it was never we need to change everything to keep them.
accommodate, right? Yeah.
And then on the other hand, it's like they try to do copy and paste with the Latino vote. And it's like Mexicans are not the same as Puerto Rico, the same as Cubans. And we keep trying to combine them, and they're not like us. To quote Kendrick Lamar.
The 2 least diverse counties in the state of Texas. Do you know what those 2 counties are?
No.
Least diverse. Are they East or West Texas?
South.
Brownsville?
So Starr County
Uh-huh.
and Webb County, which is like Laredo.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the 90-something percentile Hispanic.
Yeah.
And what does that mean if you live in that community? What it means is that the doctor is Latino, the janitor is Latino, your teacher is Latino, your grocery store clerk, your attorneys, right? Everyone there is Latino. And so you don't grow up in a minority mindset of like what it means to be denied rights because everyone there looks like you.
Yeah.
And so when the Democrats go there and campaign on like the rights of minorities and fair representation, it just doesn't resemble or like doesn't resonate to them because they are majority. And some of that to me is an issue of when we segment people into these groups, you better make sure those groups are the right way to segment them.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is anymore. I think people are identifying more with what's happening in their lives economically than their skin color like they used to. I think as we move further and further away from things like desegregation, it's going to get more and more like that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that those issues aren't important. It doesn't mean that those issues don't
right.
exist.
Yep.
It just means people may not identify by them anymore.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a different way. To me, when Donald Trump talks to a white person, he says the same thing as when he talks to a Hispanic person, the same thing as when he talks to a black person. It's a load of bullshit and lots of lies, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And, we tend to, as liberals, try to explain things a little bit too much and tell people what they should care about instead of listening to what is important to them. So I think we got a lot of growing to do. And to me, that's kind of what my takeaway was, is one big message that impacts everybody. And that's taking on banks and billionaires to protect poor people. It's what we've always been about. We just strayed a little bit because we were trying to save the republic. And, you know, if there's another election, I'm looking forward for that being our messaging.
Okay.
We laugh to stop from crying.
There's going to be
there will be another election. There will at least another one. At the very
municipals in May.
Yeah. Apparently.
As much as as a party official, a lot of people try to put this onus on the party as an apparatus. Okay, I'm going to do something rare and kind of defend that apparatus a little bit. Yeah. And the defense is, what do you want the party to do? Go write a new platform? Okay, we've got very progressive platforms right now.
Yeah, we do.
Certainly could be more, but I mean, you know, we have challenged you to find, you know, something in the Texas Democratic Party platform that you find is just way too conservative. The onus, in my opinion, lies on the shoulders of our electeds. They have to deliver. As a party apparatus, we don't have the ability to legislate and deliver. And you see Dems kind of factions of them standing up and fighting, and you see factions of them, you know, playing a little bit too friendly with the Republicans because they've gotten used to having to grovel for crumbs. And maybe they're of the mindset that that's all you can hope for are crumbs, and they think they're doing the best and the right thing. That's fine. There's a discussion to be had that. But at the end of the day, if our electeds aren't throwing down and delivering, there's nothing the apparatus can do. And so it goes back to the question we said earlier about, you know, name a Democrat that you trust to write a bill that can regulate a bank. Okay, we can put all that in the platform all day long until the elected start standing up and throwing down. It doesn't matter. The average person doesn't read every platform.
No, for sure. What do you think about Rep. Wu, Rep. Plesa as the caucus chairs?
Interested
Does
to
that
see
feel more progressive, you know?
It does. I mean, they are both members of the Progressive Caucus.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how that plays out with our strategy there. You know, I know them both. They're both great. I'm a little closer to Rep. Plesa. I feel great with her being in charge. I know she's also on the boroughs list, right? But you know, it's just it's hard to know how everybody makes it. And so it's just,
like you said, we can have compassion for the fear and for wanting to hold on to some committees. Like, we understand the value of that for certain reps. I mean, that does make sense.
I do think it's healthy to have a strong left wing. And if you want to criticize people, go for it, man. I mean, I think as an elected, you're ready for that, but just also kind of approach it with a little bit of compassion, understanding for the fact that they are in the minority. I also give Plesha a little bit more leeway than Plesha and Morales are two that I'm not here to criticize
because their districts are
them.
so purple.
They are in very purple.
Very
districts.
purple.
Y'all do what y'all got to do to hold that.
Yeah,
district.
it is 50-50 right there. So yeah,
she won her first time with 50.6% of the vote. She won this time with 52%. So she's getting a little better. But it's a tough district.
Yeah,
Morales is kind of the same way.
Okay.
And so those two, y'all do what you got to do. I feel great about the new leadership. I think they'll usher us into a more progressive direction, and they're really quick. And Wu. Thing about him, he's not afraid of a fight. If you follow him on Twitter, you know that guy throws down.
I love him. That's the thing.
I hope it translates legislatively.
I agree. I'm excited to see if maybe he could shake some things up. Yeah.
Of course, I said follow him on Twitter. Maybe I should have said follow him on Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
Black Twitter's still up and running.
Is it?
We have not left 100% yet. There's still stuff happening there.
The tweeters is just becoming a real cesspool.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm a young white dude. Young, I use that word very fluidly.
You're younger than us.
Way younger than us.
I'm
baby.
looking at you like, yeah,
I could be your mama. So yes, you are young.
Yeah.
But as a young white dude, the vile shit that I get shoved through my notifications.
I know, because I have teens and they see some really scary stuff.
I mean,
out there.
I'll get in, I'll hit my notifications, and I'll get these suggested notifications that'll push at me with these purple stars, and they're all like, "Hey, just letting you know you missed this tweet from Andrew Tate."
I didn't miss it.
No,
didn't miss it.
And why would you think I did? I don't follow anybody
and
like
Elon's
that.
pushing his tweets at everyone.
I get lots of Elons. I get lots of Fuentes. I get lots of Fresh
Kendall.
and Fit and these yeah. It's why do you think that I'm missing this?
They're really trying to pull you, man.
I think they have me ID'd as a younger white guy, and they're just and to me that was just exemplifying why I gotta get off this app
Yeah.
because they're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta
it's
get on.
horrible what
Yeah.
they're doing.
That's one of the reasons why it's hard for me to leave Twitter because it's like,
Yeah, if
President
Barry's,
Obama
if
follows
Barry's
me.
following you, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that makes sense
President
to me.
Obama follows you on Twitter?
Right?
God damn.
And I think
know.
about it every time I'm posting thirsty treats for Andrew Garfield. I'm like, the poor president. Andrew does not follow me, but it's like every time I'm posting some ridiculousness, I'm like, the poor president. Like when he was out of office, he did not think, I need to read these tweets.
If he follows you, that means you can send him a DM.
Yeah.
But I would never.
See if you could book him.
I was going to say.
Why wouldn't you?
Yes, eventually we will.
He'll
Come on.
unfollow you. He'll unfollow you, but
Yeah, exactly.
He would immediately
No, let
block
me have
you.
this calling card. Let me have this Obama calling
just slide
card.
it into the DMs. Hey,
Yeah.
B.
Yeah. Smokey Robinson also follows me, which is
Oh,
weird.
that is cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You thought you were the biggest shit at the table.
I did not think that at any point. I don't. Yeah, that's impressive. Do you remember when Obama ran the first time in 2008, how much of like a borderline sex icon that guy was?
Borderline.
Like, I mean, it was.
It
like,
was, yeah.
They did the
What do you
I
mean
got
borderline?
a crush on Obama. Like, it was like, and that
Yeah,
like,
what do you mean borderline?
It's not. It wasn't borderline. It was full fledged.
Oh, yeah.
I was still a teenager, so
Okay.
maybe I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
Okay.
what it is.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was not. I was an adult. And
No,
oh,
it was,
no.
It was
yeah.
a full fledged.
Oh, we loved the stuff about him playing basketball. Anytime he would get out on a basketball
yeah.
court with anyone, everyone was like,
Should we just have hotter candidates?
yes, that is definitely one of the elements to repair. Absolutely.
Somebody that's super
I
hot
don't know
and
how
attractive.
it's possible, frankly.
Yeah,
I
well,
see our caucus. Sexy
Well-
crew.
on a local level, I can't speak to that, but on a federal level, we've got Ossoff is a still huge.
That's true.
The senator from Georgia.
Ladies like Ossoff, yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, my sister
Senator
loves him.
Bay is what they call him.
My sister loves Westmore. Obsessed.
I love Westmore too.
Hottie.
He's doing a great job in Maryland, so I think you
And
know,
Hottie, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so we have some hotties.
Obvious hotties like Ossoff, Moore, Scudder, just the ones.
Exactly. By the time this comes out, you will have announced. So do you mind telling us a little thing about what you're running for next?
Yeah, so I'm currently running for chair of the Texas Democratic Party. And,
That's very
you know,
exciting.
I don't always fit kind of the mold of what you'd expect to be in that spot. You know, I just kind of sit here and gab and joke and gossip a little bit with you. But at the end of the day, I think our party has a relatability problem.
Yeah.
On top of a lot of other problems,
Yeah,
right? And if you want to be a working class party, you've got to put working class people at the top of your party.
Yeah.
Our message needs to be built around people who shop at Walmart and people who change their own oil. Okay. And to me, if you're not a person who can speak to that level, maybe it's time to sit this one out. Right.
Yeah.
And that isn't a specific hit on anybody because I don't even know who's running right now. Right. So if this airs and it sounds like I'm hitting on somebody, that's not what I'm doing. I don't even know who's in the race right now. But that's kind of my thought is, you know, it's time for kind of the people to take this party back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And folks who are ready to build a grassroots army. There is no reason that we should just get shellacked in special elections the way that we do. And that is a testament in my mind as to how poorly our grassroots infrastructure has been built. The way I view the party kind of in a span of history is that, you know, we went from being two guys in a closet at the AFL-CIO headquarters in Austin, which I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. It was Boynton and Glenn Maxey worked in a closet at the AFL-CIO headquarters, to having, during a presidential year, you know, almost, you know, anywhere between 50 to 100 staff members. You go from having this tiny budget to having a budget that's $2 to $3 million a cycle. And the party's just grown very quickly in a short period of time. I attribute a lot of that to kind of the excitement after of fighting against Donald Trump in the 2016 election. But with that growth comes some responsibility.
Yep.
Right. You have an if you're going to have these levels of people that are getting involved, you got to have plans for what they can do. You have to keep them in the loop. You have to respect them. The number one word that I hear, I've put 25,000 miles on my truck this cycle going around the state and talking to people, whether you're an elected official, whether you're a precinct chair, a county chair, a candidate for public office. The number one word that I hear is disrespect. Folks feel disrespected by the apparatus. They feel ignored by it. They don't feel like folks are listening to them. Some of that may not be very fair, right? But I think a lot of it is. And if that's how they're feeling, that's how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Right. We have an obligation to fix it.
Yeah.
And you do that by making people feel supported. You make sure people know what resources are available for them. And by treating those people on the ground as if they are the experts of their area.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because they are.
Because they are.
Yeah.
They know those areas better. If you are a candidate in East Texas, and, let's say we kind of know you're going to lose from the onset. You kind of know you're going to lose from the onset. You're putting your life on hold to take one for the team.
Right.
Okay. If that's the case. And then the election comes by and you either overperform or you perform on par while everybody else is underperforming. We've got a lot to learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
We should be calling you. Can we share email lists? What did you do that was different? Who were the leaders in your community? What should we be looking for in our next one? But what happens is you lose and you're discarded.
Yeah.
Right.
And you feel like I just gave my 2 years of my life for this party and they're not even, they don't care. I'm speaking about that from experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I ran and overperformed. No one calls me. No one cared what I knew or how I did it. And I had some pretty good things I was doing that other folks weren't. And it was like no one was taking stock of that. No one cared that me and all of my grassroots folks on the ground were doing a lot of work. There's just a lot to learn from people on the ground. And the party hasn't been taking advantage of that. That's just a long way of saying, like, people focused, not only in our messaging, which we've talked about today on this like populism front, but in our organizing. People focused. We're just in this really transformative time as a party. We need a transformative leader that will think about things differently, disassemble it, reassemble it where we need to. But here's kind of a bit of an insidery argument that people may not like that I'm going to make for myself. And it's that while I have a bit of a reputation within the party and within the grassroots as being the guy that helps disassemble it and reassemble it and that isn't afraid to kind of roll up my sleeves and get my hands dirty, I'm also a guy that genuinely loves this party.
Oh, yeah.
It's fair to say, I've given my life to this party. Okay.
Yep.
That is what my life has been about. And I'm not going to burn anything to the ground just because we're mad, right? Like there are some things there are some things that need to be disassembled, but there's some things the party does great, right? That we don't talk about. Primary administration, not super sexy, but you don't hear complaints about it because we do it well.
Yeah.
That's a statutory function of the party, right? Voter protection, you don't hear complaints about it. Our team does it well, right? I'm just saying, like, there's some pieces of the party that unless you're super active and you've been involved, you may not even know they exist.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I bring to the table that's unique, is that I'm a reformer who knows the party.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody that just kind of showed up to burn it down. I'm a person who's been around for a while that wants to fix it and isn't afraid to fix it. And I hope that the SDC sees that and sees that as we have some really tough discussions. I say SDC, State Democratic Executive Committee.
Yeah, that's who votes for
That's the body that
party
votes
chair.
for the new chair. As we have really tough discussions, you've got to have a chair who treats people with respect and that you know is going to treat people with respect, even if they disagree with them, because that's how you have tough discussions. If you put a chair in place that's going to put their thumb on the scale and that's going to say, well, I have ideas of what I want it to be, and if you don't agree with me, we're going to kind of quash your ability to have input. I hope that my kind of life of service to the party has made everybody that I've worked with feel respected and know that I'm going to be the kind of person that's going to listen to folks and try to facilitate a fair discussion about how we kind of move forward from here, because it's got to be transformative. And if it's not, we're missing the point.
1,000%.
Oh my gosh, look at that enthusiasm.
That man was ready to get back right into it right then and there.
Yeah, like we said earlier, we recently chatted with the chairman again after he rewatched his conversation, and this is our check-in.
When did we last talk?
Last December.
You were like, well, don't put this in the interview, but I'm thinking about running for the chairmanship. That's the conversation we had. And then, so congratulations, Mr. Chairman and Daddy.
And Daddy.
It's been 2025 was a big year in the Scudder household.
Congratulations, Chairman SDK, Smiley Democrat Kid, for winning handily. We're very proud of you. Well done.
Yes, we are.
You know, it was a journey.
Well, and you've already accomplished a lot. You want to tell us any of your successes? I know you've reformed the party pretty drastically financially.
I mean, look, when we came in, I don't think anybody is sitting at home thinking, man, if the Democrats would just stay the course, everything would be fine. I mean, we knew there were going to have to be some large shifts in the way that the party's operating, and it's been tough, just kind of going through each facet of the party, including the things that most people don't think about. I mean, when people think of a state party, they think of, organizing, they think of campaigns, they think of fundraising. They don't think of things like primary administration. They don't think of things like employment and HR. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think of
yeah.
things like all the compliance stuff we have to do. Like there's all this internal stuff. So this may be a
You
little.
have union staff too, right? Unionized team. Yeah.
So we operate under a CBA. Really proud to have unionized staff at the TDP, and so it's just a real, having to kind of go through each facet of that is tough. So I made a decision early on, and this may be a little too wonky. I don't know how much your listeners are interested in it, but I made a decision early on that I was going to do the unsexy things first, while I kind of had the longest runway of being able to do things. So started with the things that were very internal, and I feel like we're getting out of that phase now and able to start getting into like, how do we overhaul the comms department? How do we overhaul the data and organizing departments? And like, just make sure that as an organization, we're functioning on all cylinders. But I didn't want us to get into the 2026 election year and, try to be building a plane while we're flying it. If we can just get some good bones here, then we can, we can scale up and scale down as we need to. So lots of stuff like that is just like basic functionality of running an organization that's just been really important and really kind of front setting. And while we're doing that, we're having to retire debt for the organization, raise money so that we can keep it operating because it's not in very good financial shape. And I think we're there or getting there. I think we're in a much better spot. I'm not like losing sleep at night over whether or not we're making payroll. Right. So
Yeah.
I feel like we're moving in the right direction. There's just a long way to go, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's just going to take time to build it back up.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there might be, those naysayers.
What I'll say is, if you've done politics as long as I have, you're going to have people that don't like you. And that's just life, because at some point you have to take stands on different things where it finds you crossways with different people. So there is kind of like a crowd of people that have been sitting around waiting for something to complain about. They've kind of found some stuff. There's also some people that just don't agree with some of the stuff I've been doing, and that's fine too. My job is to try to do what I feel is in the best interest of the organization. And the way I see it, I love this party. I know most people, or even some people that are in our like activism space, they don't feel as much love and connection to the party as I do, right? I love the party, and I'm genuinely doing what I think is in its best interest, and I'm going to drive the organization so that I feel like it can be led towards success with the information that I have in front of me. And maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll make some mistakes. That's fine. But I think it's time for people to start putting our movement ahead of their own politics. And so that's where I'm going. So we're getting up, we're throwing down. I'm going to piss some people off, but this party doesn't belong to the political class. It belongs to the grassroots.
And having only known you for a year now, congratulations to us. Whole year.
Oh, it's just our anniversary?
It's our anniversary. You have consistently been saying this, like it's from the ground up. And so it's every time I see you on, another podcast or or in a news studio, it's like, that has been Kendall the entire time I've known him. It's been very consistent. It's like, I know what we need. It's about the people. It's not about, the power or just even like winning everything. It's about the people and listening to the people.
It's just genuinely like the party is not, we're out of organized. We just don't have, if we had a precinct chair in every precinct in this state, and they were laser focused on their precinct, not all this other political riffraff, not all this navel gazing that doesn't matter, but they were focused on their precinct and how do I turn my numbers out here? How do I make sure I get 20 more votes than what we had last time? Like we're doing that. Then, I mean, we're
That's
close
how we win.
in a big way, but that infrastructure doesn't just happen.
Right.
It didn't just fall apart. It's been years that has caused it to fall the way that it has. So right now we're in the middle of filing. So anybody that wants to be a precinct chair, even if you currently have a precinct chair, you can go and file for precinct chair, and there would have to be an active primary. You'd have to run like a campaign, but any person right now can go and file for precinct chair with their county chair and start filling those seats out.
In
And
Dallas County, you can file until December 8th.
that's right.
You almost got me. You almost got me.
I
But
know.
somebody
I
beat me.
I turned into it finally, and then literally the week I was like, okay, we're gonna fill out this paperwork. Someone filed, and honestly, I'm so proud of him, and I love this new kid. So he's great.
Okay, so for you, it's not that you were concerned about being a precinct chair as much as you were willing to do it if someone else wasn't willing to do it.
It was vacant and somebody needed to be it, and I'm active. So I was like, why not me? But somebody else who could give a lot more time than I
Yeah,
could.
he can. Yeah.
So I'm not even going to even look that way.
Yeah, y'all can work together. Like, he's great. He's got a lot of energy. He's very young. He's going to be great. We got to fill those 4,500 seats that are open or whatever, right? And then
I was shocked when I heard you say that
there
there was
too,
like
they all
almost
have to
half.
build a
Yeah.
team. It's crazy. Half of them are
Yeah.
empty. And then
Well-
build a team to actually do the work.
Yeah, and we'll see how many of them stay filled after filing, because a lot of times you have a drop off after filing. So that number might actually go down when filing.
Oh, God.
And then we have an
Okay.
obligation to go back out and start filling them up. But like, that's a product of us not having stability in our organization. Precinct chairs should not only have that job, but know what that job is, have a sense of purpose in it, be excited to move forward, file again and continue their work, or pass it on to someone else so that they don't lose all the progress they've made. But that's not the culture we've set as a party. And so as a result, we tend to lose precinct chairs at filing. You know, if I haven't given you enough enticement to become a precinct chair, here's one more, the last one I have, and then we can move on. If you're nosy like me, you get access to the voter file. And when you get access to the voter file, you get to look your neighbors up. And you
It's
get to
so
see-
fun.
And you get to see how they voted.
I can literally anytime I meet anyone out in
Or
our
if.
neighborhood, I'm like, oh, okay.
And so, like, if you have people on your street and you're like, are they our people? Are they not our people? You get access to the voter file where you can go and you can also look up and pull a list of people who didn't vote in the last election. You could pull a list of people who voted in 2020 and stayed home in 2024. You could pull a people that only vote in presidentials and don't vote in in midterms, and then try to turn them out for governor. Like, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And then it's
When we did a van session with Jill just a couple weeks ago, and Jill Cochran, the founder of the Feds, and we all pulled in our neighborhood. She gave us a whole list, pull all of these lists, and one of them was young women. I'm going to reach out to them specifically and be like, how are you doing? Like, kind of a wellness check. And then specifically people who have voted in previous elections but did not vote in 2024. And man, that's a large number. It's a surprisingly large number just in my one precinct. So, and those are people that I want to go have direct conversations with, right? Because they're people who have voted Democrat before and they didn't feel like voting last year. So it's like, whoa, hey, let's reconnect. Maybe we need to figure this out. How do we do this?
And then you know all your neighbors.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Getting to know all the neighbors.
and worst case scenario, one of your neighbors yell at you or they get mouthy with you, and now you know you don't like that guy.
That's almost never happened. The only time I had a neighbor get snippy with me, I mean, I've had people be snippy when I've knocked the door, but they were assholes people. That's what that person is like. But some people text saying like, "Take me off your list" when I talk trash about our mayor. Some people were really offended by it because people really want the mayor to be nonpartisan. They really want that, even though it's not real. But people want that. They're like, that is a nonpartisan, and people were like, "Take me off your list," and I'm like, "Wow, you're confused how this works." But okay.
Hold up. I know I sneak diss that man all the time, but he ran as a Democrat, and then when he switched parties, he says we need Republicans. How is it not nonpartisan?
He's definitely partisan. He always has been.
The only people that haven't gotten the memo on the partisanship of those down ballots are Democrats. Like, Republican voters, they make those races as partisan as hell. All the candidates make it partisan as hell. But for some reason, down ballot Democratic voters, I kind of call it like West Wing syndrome. They watch too much West Wing.
Yeah.
This idea of like what government could be and what it should
Right.
be and so like, no, those are supposed to be nonpartisan, and we don't let partisanship leak into our local government. And no, I'm sorry, The West Wing was from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's over.
One.
And they're
Yeah,
literally
one.
funneling cash into local elections and taking over whole school boards. And, it's actually terrifying. But another cool thing to be about being a precinct chair is that you get to get involved in that local level of making decisions on how we are going to be involved in local elections. And it was really cool last spring when we formed that committee on local elections in the local party, and that committee kicked ass and did so much cool work. And then we just voted to make that a permanent committee, so we'll have that group doing that local organizing forever. So I think that's something we really need.
Anytime that I see a Republican or some election denier type, they always tend to be Republicans. Every single time that I let them go on their tirades and go on their tangents, and I say, you know what? You need to step up and stop this all from happening. So go and sign up to be an election worker.
Yeah.
And you go through your election worker training and do work one election, and you'll realize how absolutely crazy these election deniers are.
Yeah, exactly. People who are like, we need to move back to paper ballots. I'm like, oh, don't understand how this works.
Because we already have them all.
We do. And also paper ballots counting by hand is proven over and over again to be less effective. So good luck with that. That's a funny idea. As a matter of fact, the Republicans are doing that at the primary next spring. They're going to have hand counted ballots only.
Which
is
so
hilarious.
Let's talk about that for people who aren't familiar with elections, okay? Because you originally hear that and you're like, well, paper ballots and hand counting them, I don't see a problem with that. The problem with that is that state law says that those ballots have to be counted within 24 hours, and that we're a county with 2.6 million people. And so what the current system in Dallas County is you log in your little computer, beep, boop, 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 what your choices are, and it prints you out already on paper what all your votes are. So you can look at them and make sure that they're all accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put them into what they call an optical scan machine that counts it. And so it's like a computer that counts it, but it is a paper ballot already.
It is a paper ballot.
So the current system is basically just a fast way of counting. And then you take all those reports from each of those machines, you take it to the office, they add them all up, and that's how they do the counting. But what they're trying to do is make it so that you have to individually fill out your ballot. Sometimes it's with a pencil, sometimes, which will create all kinds of confusions because people won't mark them the right way. People will make mistakes and try to cross them out, and it will become a confusion there. And then just drop them into a bucket and take them all to a central count where you go 1, 2, 3, 4 and count them. And so you put human error into the mix.
Exactly.
Way.
Like we saw them do this in Georgia when they were recounting all that stuff. Yeah.
And every time there's a hand recount, it's a different number because it's not accurate. It's not possible when you're counting 1 million pieces of paper to be accurate. That's not even.
I have participated for myself in 3 hand recount elections.
Kendall.
When I ran for city council in Huntsville, Texas, they all went into hand recounts. And so I have sat in rooms where we had, and it wasn't a lot of votes. It was the city of Huntsville's municipal election. And we had to sit there. It took us 3 days to get through the recount. So I don't know how they think they're going to get through the county of Dallas in a recount within 24 hours and not have a bunch of human error in it. That's their problem, not ours. We're not doing
but what is going to happen with that? Because we were like, yeah, that's nice. That'll be funny to watch y'all do that. But now they're saying, I saw a thing last week where they're like, well, y'all have to do it too. I mean, everyone's doing it. And we were like, no, we're not. We're not. Okay, good. They can't make us, right?
I am the chief primary administrator for the state of Texas. I am absolutely not. We are going to operate in the 21st century, and we're not going to operate with tinfoil hats and conspiracy theories, okay? Optical scan machines just simply count votes.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, that inside the election center, there literally is no internet. Like, they are not allowed, there's no internet in that room. They're not allowed to look at their phones, the people who work the election. Like, there's not a way to mess with that vote. Like you said, it goes through an optical scanner, which is more like a copier. Like, it's not sending data anywhere.
Well, and look no further than when people have asked for recounts. Like, if your election is a certain closeness, you're mandated by law to have a recount, or if it's within a certain margin, you have the right to request a recount. And when they have pulled those ballots out to do recounts on them, the optical scans have been accurate. So it's not,
Yeah, yeah.
you can say that it's wrong all you want to, but every single time we've pulled the ballots out to count them, it has been accurate with the optical scan. So no, we are not going to participate in Republican crazy land where we pretend like elections are all rigged and like everything's out to get us. That is not how this works. We are going to rely on technology to make a clean, efficient election system. We should make it as easy for citizens to vote as we possibly can. You should not have to be waiting in line for 7 hours to count a ballot. This is the 21st century. We need to start acting like it in the way we can.
I agree.
Here, here.
Every time I talk to you, you, like we said earlier, you have pretty much like the same bullet points. And I love consistencies. It's like, it's not talking points. It's like, this is your ethos, right? And one of my biggest takeaways from you that I have then gone out and told other people, like, this is what the party needs to do, is we need to simplify the message, make it very concise, and keep repeating it over and over and over. And I think I saw that in practice with the New York City mayoral race, where Zoran was very clear, had very pocket little conversation, like points,
Concise,
and
yeah.
repeated it over and over and over. And I was like, there goes Kendall. Yep. Kendall was right.
It's
You know?
it's message discipline, and
Yeah.
you don't speak on the intricacies of policy as much as you speak on values
Yeah.
and those values that we share, and what we're trying to get accomplished. And I think you do see that a lot with people like Bernie and AOC and Zohran Mamdani, is that they understand that people are in a tough spot right now. I mean, life's hard. I went to the grocery store the other day and it was $7 for a box of cereal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, you can look at the cereal prices right now.
If
It's
you're a minimum wage worker, you have to work an entire hour to buy a
Just
box of
cereal.
cereal. And like that's just one example of just
Mhm.
the bigger problem of like life is hard. People want to know that folks in the government are hearing them, not that they're arguing the intricacies of public policy, but that they get it. They get it. And when you see a government that has $40 trillion in debt, that can't even call themselves to keep the government open, you don't really feel like people are working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
and-
giving 40 billion of my dollars to another country.
That's right. That's right. And
while we're shut down.
so to me, we as a party kind of back in the day, when I say back in the day, I'm referring to like, 60s, 70s, 80s, which I kind of think 60s was probably the heyday of our
A heyday.
where we got some really big, great poverty reduction things done, as well as probably
Mhm.
the DR era. But when we were always the party that would take on the rich folks, we'd take on the banks, we'd take on the corporations. We were the people that would take on whoever we had to make sure that the little guy got his shake. Behind me, you see this poster for Senator Ralph Yarborough. I don't know if you know Ralph Yarborough. He was like kind of Bernie Sanders-esque, but he was a senator from Texas, the only Southern senator who voted for all the voting rights, all the civil rights issues. He was a good progressive here in Texas, and his slogan when he would campaign was always, "We got to put the jam on the lower shelf so the little people can reach it." That's who we are as a party. And like,
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of got away from that because we got caught up in details. Those
Mhm.
details are important when you're crafting policy. Those details are really important when you're trying to like move legislation. But when you're trying to campaign, people just need to know who you are and what you stand for. And what we stand for is the little person. We stand for the guy who just can't seem to catch a break. He's working his ass off, going to work where his hands are calloused and he's got to take showers when he gets home, and he feels like there's nothing, everybody's getting breaks except for him. He can't ever seem to have something fall in his way. You need to know that you've got a party that's going to stand up and take people on for you. And that's who we're supposed to be. We're supposed to vote for a Democrat so you can live like a Republican, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, also you pointed out in our last conversation in December, which is something that I wasn't fully aware of, that like incumbents was what lost across the world, right? It's kind of like this vibe has hit everyone, not just America, of like the leaders aren't delivering. It's all been like a grift, and like the money is funneling into corporations rather than to the people. And then I've heard you in recent months in interviews talking about how the issue is Democrats have to deliver to the people. It's not just, because
We're
it's
better
definitely
than those people.
understanding
Yeah.
and saying the right words and being clear, but also we actually have to bring wins to the people.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound like a broken record, because Jalen's right. I do kind of say this over and over again,
But no, it's important.
It
It shows consistency and validity. It's not just like talking points. Like,
yeah,
so
it's one thing to be a party that says we're going to do those things, and then we start talking about what we want to do. We start diving into policy, and then the Democrats start talking about things like preserving Social Security. Why are you campaigning on preserving Social Security? You should be campaigning on expanding Social Security. Like, why are you campaigning on making sure you get to see a doctor when you're sick? You should be able to see a doctor before you get sick. Like, we as a party have to start getting back to these ambitiously progressive, bold ideas that make life better for people. And when we do that, they're going to want to show up for us. But when we don't, and we're just campaigning on preserving the status quo or making things like they were 5 years ago, instead of trying to have this vision of what we could create, then they're just going to be like, why should I even show up and vote for these people? 1.1 million Democrats voted in 2020, stayed home in 2024. And they'll tell you it's because Democrats don't fight hard enough. They negotiate away the things that are important to us. It's not about being the furthest left person. It's about being a person that will throw down. You
Yeah.
can be a mainstream Democrat that's not on the far left or whatever. You don't have to be as progressive as me, right? But you could be like a mainstream Democrat who just says, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to let a bunch of like corporate sellouts push my people around. And
right, yeah.
when we do that as a party, we'll start to earn people's trust back to where it was when we had super majorities in both chambers of Congress and super majorities of governors. It worked well. It was very popular.
How
We
How
got
do
to
we like refresh? Like, because you're saying, what you're saying, I think is right on. How do we almost like clear the slate and get people back to thinking about big ideas? Like you're saying, like, for instance, there's been 0 amendments to the Constitution that have impacted the humans of America. There was one in 1980s that was like for the legislature, whatever, but no constitutional amendments federally that impact all of Americans since the 70s. Like since I was born, and I'm 51. Like, what? Like that it was meant to be a living document that we updated as needed. And holy shit, we've got a lot of changes we need. Like, why are we not let's rewrite the Constitution? Where do we get that in the conversation?
Well, I don't think that you could ever get Republicans and Democrats on the same page these days to get constitutional amendments passed, even on basic human dignity.
Yeah. The ERA still can't pass, so there's that.
I mean, are y'all familiar with FDR's second Bill of Rights?
No.
So during his presidency, Franklin Roosevelt, who, while I'm showing posters off,
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Franklin Roosevelt rolled out what he called his second Bill of Rights, what he believed should be additional add-ons to the Constitution. And it's shocking because it's, 90 years ago was when that was. And if you start to read them off, I mean, very relevant still today, which I think makes a strong point about why those probably should have been codified in the Constitution, because 100 years later, there's still things that are super relevant. I mean, there are things like having access to healthcare, having access to a good paying job that can put a roof over your head, having a right to housing. Those are things that if they had ever gotten codified within the Constitution would put people in a much better spot. I just pulled it up while I was talking to you. So his second Bill of Rights was you have a right to employment. You have a right to an adequate income for food, shelter, and recreation. You have farmers' rights to a fair income, freedom from unfair competition and monopolies. You have a right to decent housing. You have a right to adequate medical care. You have a right to Social Security and a right to education. I mean, as if that right to education had been codified in the Constitution, we would be able to sue in federal court for a voucher scam that defunds public schools and shovels your tax dollars up to the wealthy so their kids can get discounts on private schools.
And you could argue we wouldn't be in this situation if we had an unfunded education.
So maybe it's time for a resurgence of the Second Bill of Rights.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like you reading those off, it's like
Yeah.
that is basically the
The list.
the party's like philosophies. Like this is what we're trying to get in, and to think that that's been like almost 100 years of us trying to make those things happen, is daunting. It's a little sad, but we have something. We've got the Bible. You know what I mean? Let's take that. All right. Remember all those things that you love about FDR? Well, he's got something else.
Well, FDR had his head in the right spot. He had a lot of good stuff that he was trying to get done for folks. And Sam Rayburn from Texas was the speaker that was there kind of every step of the way as they were moving through that. But just like, I guess my point of all of this is like, as a party, when you dive into those kind of overarching moral items, just like that are our compass, that are giving us the directions for what we're trying to accomplish, you are able to be a lot more palatable than if you get into like the intricacies of details, because we can argue for hours about the details of all of those things. And even the three of us will have three different opinions on how those things should get accomplished. And as Democrats, we get caught in this trap where we try to argue the intricacies of public policy and not argue just the basic core tenets of human decency and the things we're trying to get accomplished. And that's what I'm really trying to drag the party back towards. It feels like our candidates are really leaning into that messaging, and
I agree.
feel good
Yeah.
about it. I think we're going to have a really good slate that's on message this cycle about the things that are important. And, I hope it moves the needle.
Yeah.
And if it didn't,
Speaking,
what we were doing wasn't working either. So
right. Well, exactly. Yeah.
True.
Keep trying something new. Yeah. Speaking of candidates, and I won't get into like specific candidates that have or are rumored to be running, but just like a little peek behind the curtain for me. When somebody is running for, let's say, a statewide election, do you guys hear about it, or has there ever been like a surprise candidate that you guys didn't know about? Oh, there are
So,
surprises, yeah.
okay, so let's talk about my role as the chief primary administrator for the state. The least sexy part of my job, but my job is to be the referee. So when the primary happens, I call balls and strikes and make sure like you're following the law, you're following the law. So if somebody comes, let's say Joey's ready to file for attorney general, and Joey comes to me and she pays her filing fee.
We'd be in big trouble if I did that.
I love Joey, right? But I look down and I noticed that Joey filled the wrong format. Well, then my job is to throw Joey off the ballot and to say, I'm sorry, Joey, you didn't file the way you were supposed to. Or let's say Joey did fill out the right ballot and then I go to cash her check and the check bounces. Well, then I have to throw Joey off the ballot. And like, it's not about if I like Joey. It's not about if we're friends. It's that I'm an honest broker making sure people are following the rules. So as a result, I stay out of primaries. I want to make sure that everybody feels like they're treated fairly. And so to your point, yeah, like I can't really get into the details and I can share some observations, but yeah, they have no obligation to come to me until they have to file. So filing opens on November 8th and it closes on December 8th. And so November 8th, I'll be down in the office in Austin, and anybody who has a district that crosses a county line, they come to me to file. Anybody who has a district within a county will go to their county chair to file. And so most people who like run for Congress, run for statewides, run for like multi-county districts will come to me. And so they have no obligation to come to me beforehand. I don't have to necessarily look at what they're filing with the Ethics Commission on their finances, so I don't always know. So these candidates will come in, and it has 100% happened, and I have no doubt it will happen to this year. Someone will come in on December 8th, the last day, and they will say, here is my filing fee. Here is my application. I want to run for X. The worst case scenario is they come in on the very last day, right at the end, and they say, here are all my petition signatures, and drop them on my desk and say, and here's my application. And then we have to go through and verify petitions and make sure they actually qualify. And yeah, so I don't know. I think I know who's running. And generally, if you're a serious candidate, you would reach out to the state chair if you're like a statewide candidate, just so that we're aware that you exist. But you don't have to. I'll give you a perfect example. Remember when I ran for state house, Joey? In East Dallas? when I ran for state house in 22, it was kind of a wild primary where there were 4 of us that were running, and then 15 minutes before filing closed, John Bryant came.
That's when Bryant filed. That's
filed his
right.
paperwork. And so he was a former United States congressman, a former United States ambassador, a former member of the state house who was first elected in 1974. And he came out of retirement and filed within the last 15 minutes. None of us knew he was going to do it. And it kind of shocked everybody. He ended up winning. And John is arguably the best member of the state house right? I mean, we are so lucky to have John Bryant in the house. But like, that's just the perfect example of you have up until the filing, and that's up to you how you choose to spend it and do it.
But we noticed yesterday with Gina Hinojosa's announcement that like right after like endorsement. And I said to Jalon, well, yeah, she's been working on that in the, behind the scenes, like that was all prepped. And then they do that because then it creates a foundation of validity for her campaign. Like it puts her on top sort of by showing like all these elected officials are already endorsing her. So it's really smart move. But yeah, Jalon was like, whoa, how, would Kendall, like how is everyone involved? So hearing the behind the scenes is cool.
Well, in some states, the state party gets actively involved in primaries. In some states, the party will endorse and say, here are the candidates that the Democrats want you to vote for.
Wow. In the primary, they'll choose candidates? Okay.
We don't do that. And so as
don't.
a result, what you'll see oftentimes is candidates will go and get a lot of sitting electeds to try to like send a message of like, here is who the powers that be would like to be the nominee. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad.
Do we have a rule or policy about not doing that? Or it's more just like, that's what we do to be decent as a party?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm up for re-election in June. And if you believe that the party should get involved in those things, run a person at convention against me who believes that the party should get involved. And if they win, the party could get involved.
Well, the main reason I was thinking about it was because we did with the local elections committee of the party last spring. They did that rating system because it was like a nonpartisan race. So it wasn't like we could say, we like this person because they're Democrat and we don't like this person because they're Republican. Instead, they were rating them on like issues-based rating, which was a really smart idea. Obviously, there were still people who didn't like it because some people want it to be nonpartisan, all that stuff. But I thought it was smart how they framed it as issues-based. But it's one of the things I've been wondering, like, how do we, just in the sense that there's always some people in the primary that, I don't know, shouldn't be there. And look, and those of us who are in the inside know enough about all these people, and I don't know.
Though here's how I view it. And I think there's different opinions on this. The way I view it is that this party doesn't belong to me and it doesn't belong to a bunch of party insiders. It belongs to the people of Texas. And they have a right to make those decisions. You have to have trust that they are engaged and informed. There are times where they're not. Like, I mean, just objectively, there are some results where you look at it and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe people just voted for that person because of their name, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to put some faith in that. I have always had a problem with the party apparatus picking winners and losers. We've seen it over and over again, right? Where they say, this is who I think the party should nominate. And they kind of put their thumb on the scales and lean it in their direction. So when I ran on a platform of no thumbs on scales. I'm not doing it. And some people don't like that. They good for the party to put their thumbs on scales because it stops you from getting sometimes some really bad candidates there. So I understand that argument, but I just have to have faith in our electorate that they're going to make good choices. And if they make a choice that's different than the one I wanted, then let's bear hug and move forward and figure out why they made that choice and put the campaign together.
But also party leaders on the local level, like precinct chairs, can make a real impact on that type of thing. Like you're saying, like the party doesn't have to like put a thumb on the scale.
All party officials have the right to make endorsements.
Right, exactly. I make endorsements,
I just don't do that, and I encourage others not to do that too, but they're all duly elected in their own right and kind of make that decision the way they see fit. So
off topic, I just want you to know that I will often find myself walking around my house just saying bootlicking bastards over and over and over.
Fucking bastards.
When you said that, I was like, yep, that's part of my vernacular now.
Well, I really liked the alliteration.
Me too.
Billionaires, bankers, bootlicking bastards.
Yep. I was like, put it on a shirt.
I wish I could take credit for it. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
I lifted it. I lifted it from Jim Hightower. Jim Hightower would refer to bootlicking bastards quite a bit, and that's I was like, I like that. I'm gonna stick.
I did too.
I like it.
I was like, he said that on the news.
The Republican Party is nothing but this conglomeration of class traders and trust fund babies. And so I don't really have any problem calling them bootlicking bastards because that's what they are. If you're a class trader, you've made the decision that licking some rich guy's boots to help yourself get ahead is more important than helping other people that are having the same life struggles you are. So
Yeah.
I don't find it disrespectful at all. It's disrespectful for them to try to yank the ladder up behind them and not let up.
1,000%.
Absolutely.
1,000%, including our governor. 1,000%.
Absolutely. 100%. Yep.
Yeah. Another thing I heard you say that I really loved, you said Democrats built Texas and Democrats have an opportunity to rebuild it. And I was like, now that's a rallying cry right there.
Tell us
Like
more.
that's
This is a thing that, like, y'all get it on this podcast. So if you get me on something for too long, I always talk about, I really love kind of the history of the party and the history of the state. And I mean, it's just the truth. We didn't elect Republicans in this state for years. Especially after, it was probably until John Tower, I think, was the first Republican elected in Texas. And so, back in the day, Democrats actually used to have 141 members of the legislature and Republicans had 9. And when that was the case, we still let Republicans have committee chairs, which they aren't allowing us to have them right now. But that's a side note. But I guess my point is, like, whenever you think back on the good old days of like the 90s, like not the good old days of the 50s, that was not good for everyone, right? And just as the 90s weren't either, but they were better, right? When you think of the good old days as they would be in the 80s or 90s, where we had the lowest tax rate in the country, we had the bridges and roads that were the envy of the world, the best schools in the country, safest communities in the country, businesses would flock to Texas. That was Democrats. Democrats built that. And then Republicans came in. Anybody feel like your taxes are lower now than they were 30 years ago? Anybody feel like your community's safer? Anybody think your bridges are? It takes them 20 years just to do I-35. Like, they can't even build a road, let alone be able to build the apparatus of an entire state to have you have a successful opportunity, right? So we built Texas, they tore it apart, and we get a chance to rebuild it. But only if we can convince people that the way we built it before works for them. And I think we call back to that enough.
I agree.
Big time. I saw you say on something the other day that you think we have a good chance to defeat the racist maps. Is that true?
Yeah, I do. So we went into court on those maps on October 1st.
1st, yeah.
Arguments ended on Friday. And so now we're just waiting. It's a panel of 3 judges. One was appointed by Obama, one was appointed by Trump, and one was appointed by Reagan. So it's a Republican panel. And so
wait, is
hold
he
on.
130?
Sorry.
do I?
Sorry.
How old is that person?
Yeah, right.
I was born during Reagan's first administration. What do you mean? There's a
Yeah. I mean, he's been there a little while.
He's been there a while.
Here's the thing. You would originally look at a panel like that and think, oh, that's a Republican panel, which, I mean, it is. But when you have a Reagan appointee, it's a different kind of Republican. It's a Republican that still believed that the law mattered. It's very different than
and believed in America as a
Novelty.
novelty.
They
Actually,
may
like
interpret those laws differently than we do, but they do believe they're there.
yeah.
Trump judges tend to kind of legislate from the bench. So I think it's so blatantly obvious that they racially gerrymandered. Literally, the Trump administration sent us a letter saying, hey, we don't like the racial makeup of these districts. Redraw them. And so, it's so obvious that I think that panel's going to, be good to us. You never know, but I think they would. So then from there, it will surely get appealed up to the Supreme Court. And it becomes a question of whether or not the Supreme Court, takes action on it or not, or they can kick it back down. I don't really know what the Supreme Court's going to do, but I do think it'll get to the Supreme Court. And
Oh shit.
and
That's
we'll
not
have to see, we'll have to see what happens. And it also is particularly stressful for, again, the guy running the primary, because filing
right.
starts now in less than a month on November 8th, and we aren't really sure what maps we're using. As of right now, we're using the current, like the maps that have been
Exist.
recently passed.
Oh, the new
But
ones. Okay.
very well, those could get kicked out before the 8th. So if we've been working on candidate recruitment, if we've been trying, we have to figure out suddenly how we fill all these seats and what we're doing. So it's going to be a bit of a mad dash. We'll see. I hope the courts make the right choices there.
Me too.
Right now, it's really easy to feel helpless. And when you watch the news, it constantly feels like you're getting kicked in the teeth. But we can't just roll over and allow Republicans to run amok on this government. It doesn't belong to them. It doesn't belong to the billionaires. It doesn't belong to the bankers. It doesn't belong to the bootlicking bastards. It belongs to you. So in order for us to fight back and make sure that we don't allow them to kick us in the teeth again, we need to make sure that we are engaging and doing everything we can to fight back. What can you do? Well, number one, you can sign up to be a precinct chair. I know that it may be intimidating. You may not even know what a precinct chair is. It's like your Captain Democrat for your neighborhood, okay? When fascism is knocking on the door, it is not the time for imposter syndrome, okay? I was a precinct chair when I was 18 years old. You're going to be fine. We'll equip you with the information that you need. You'll be able to get out there and start slogging in your neighborhood to turn out voters. If we did it in every neighborhood in this state, we'd move the needle in a huge way and start winning elections in Texas again. It's all about turnout. You're on the front lines of that turnout. Number two, you could always sign up to be a grassroots donor to your local county party and to the state party. I hate to be the guy that's always begging for money, but the truth is, if we just allow the wealthy to fund this party and it's not funded by working class people all across this state, that means that the wealthy are going to have an outsized impact on what we stand for and what we do. We are an unapologetically working class party that will take on whoever we have to make sure the little guy gets his fair shake. And the way we're able to do that is by having working class people across the state willing to put in $10 a month towards our county or state party to try to move the needle. And third, what you can do to make sure you're helpful is never apologize and never be ashamed of who you are as Democrats. Democrats have brought all the greatest successes of this country over the last 100 years. I think of things like the New Deal, where we brought electricity and clean water to people who didn't have it. We understood that investing in rural communities would help pull people out of poverty. It would rebound the economy from the Great Depression and save the world during World War II. We were the party of the Great Society, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, reducing poverty in this country by 75%. We put a man on the moon, and we gave this country the last balanced budget it's ever seen. But it wasn't just Democrats that did that. It was Texas Democrats that did that. Sam Rayburn gave us the New Deal. Lyndon Johnson gave us the Great Society. And Houston scientists put a man on the moon. Lloyd Benson balanced the budget. When Texas Democrats have it together, we have the opportunity to do great things for this country. But when we lose sight of who we are, a party of big, bold, progressive ideas, the whole national party struggles as a result. Be proud of who you are as a Texas Democrat. We built this state, and now we have a chance to rebuild it.
You should run for office.
You literally just made me cry.
I tried it a lot of time.
I'm about to run through a fucking wall. Yes.
Yeah.
Get to work. I'm a loud, proud Democrat.
Thank you, Kendall.
Thank you, Kendall.
You know, if y'all need me, just give me a call.
Thank you for bringing him into my life.
I know, right?
I love that man so much.
Really did make me actually cry.
Now, like I said at the end of that, I was ready to run into a fucking wall. I was so amped up.
And like I said, he made me cry. I love talking to Kendall.
I just love the swing of emotions between the two of us.
It's
It's
intense.
like
Yeah.
we're hearing the same speech, and I'm like, Alexa, play DMX Party Up, running through a wall, and you're like,
I'm like,
Alexa, play Barbara Streisand.
Totally.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh man,
Yep.
I'm so glad y'all elected him. I know he's gonna do great things.
Yes, but it starts with us filling all of the vacant precinct chair seats.
And you guys are in luck. Joey is a precinct chair, so you have a resource right here if you're interested.
Yeah, at me anytime, you guys. I've got all the info on being a precinct chair. Let's go.
All right. That's this episode.
Thanks again for watching. We're very active over on Substack, where it's free for everyone to peruse.
That's right. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe on Substack so you get this and our newsletters and our podcast episodes delivered right to your mailbox.
Jalon shares the daily news in the Daily News Brief, and she updates on the biggest headlines and stories weekly with the GPL newsletter.
That's right. And every Sunday, Joey, like I said, our precinct chair, gives you your call to action in her organizer's corner, all for free. We keep up with the news and policy for you so you don't have to. Aren't we sweet? Talk to you guys very, very soon.
Bye.
Bye.